Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin tonight's Board of Education meeting. And everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. We have a great turnout tonight. So nice to see so many of you. Let the record show that all board members are in the attendance with the exception of Mr. McGinnis, who I know is on his way. Can I have a motion, please? Needed to approve the minutes of the March 28th, 2023 planning session.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, as you can see on the agenda, we do have some recognition tonight. I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Romanelli.
Hello, welcome everyone. We have 3 student showcase recognition portions of our meeting this evening. And just to kick those off, I'd like to invite up Mr. Tim Moran, who's going to be presenting our athletics awards to our students. Mr. Moran.
Good evening. It's another great day to be a Lion. Our high school spring athletic teams went 7-0 this afternoon. That's great. Another great reason to be happy to be a Lion is that our district mascot is not associated at all with Native Americans. But I'm here tonight on behalf of the Board of Education, Dr. Romanelli, to recognize our winter varsity athletes who were recognized in all county honors from their respective sport coaches associations. In addition to that, I'd like to recognize our winter teams that earned the top sportsmanship honors this past winter. Our varsity wrestling team under Coach Legilia and Coach Ferrara, our Udall wrestling team under Coach Lombardi, our Beach Street boys volleyball team under Coach Ritera, and our JV boys basketball team under Coach Denninger, who all won the sportsmanship award. In addition, this past winter, all 10 of our varsity athletic teams were recognized by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association as being scholar athlete teams, which is a team average of 90 or higher. All 10 of our varsity teams are 100%, and you combine that with our fall sports season, where all 13 of our varsity teams earn that distinction. We're at 100% right now, so the pressure is on our spring sports to keep that going and see if we can get a school distinction recognition where 100% of our varsity teams are recognized as scholar athlete teams. So, like I said, it's a great day to be a Lion. So, what I want to do is recognize our winter varsity athletes who earned all county honors. What we'll do is I'll call them up. We'll recognize them. We have a nice certificate for those athletes that were able to make it here tonight. And for those that could not make it, I'll make sure they get their certificates. Afterwards, we'll take a group picture and we'll give you a nice round of applause. So, to start us out, all county honors from boys varsity winter track. Rocco Carpinello. Moving forward with our boys varsity swimming and diving team, all counties, William DeWitt. Varsity cheerleading team, all counties. We have Allie Sesto and Jenna Tyler. And academic all county from cheerleading, Annalise Amarata. Congrats.
Okay, next up, I would like to welcome up Ms. Patricia Morgino, who's going to be honoring our Stock Market Long Island Competition student winners. And trying to juggle all those awards right there.
Actually, my colleague and I today woke up 4:30 in the morning and went to the job center with a bunch of students. So we both took naps and overslept. That's the honest truth. Hi, so again, my name is Patricia Morgino. I am a business education teacher at West Islip for 25 years. And I teach Wall Street. And in Wall Street, we do the stock market game. And the students get $100,000 and they invest in portfolios, real time. So they invest in the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange. And I have winners every year. The students do fantastically well. It's unbelievable. And tonight, I would be proud to award several students from last year and this year. The first person I would like to award is Joe Pace. In the fall of 2021, Joe Pace came in 14th place out of 1,400 teams, and he was at the Javits Center today. Virtual enterprise class with Mrs. McCrelly who teaches. So we were all at the Javits Center today, selling away. It was wonderful. Thank you. Joe's a wonderful student. I would like to award is Jacob Vella. He came in 3rd place as a 10th grade student. Not only are students smart investors, they are also exceptional athletes, and unfortunately, several of them are out competing right now. So, Jake McEnany, he is playing baseball right now, and he came in 27th place out of 1,500 students. So. Now I have in 16th place, Gannon Plomusco. And again, it's at 1,500 students. Bless you.
Mom, did you guys?
Came in 13th place. And I'm sure he will too at one point. And
All right, the third part of our student recognition showcase for this evening is a student video showcase, and it's one of our amazing West Side Slip students. Anastasia is here this evening, and I'm just going to call up one of our incredible E&L teachers, Ms. Monica Krosik, who's going to do a quick intro for us.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Monica Krosik. I'm the secondary E&L teacher. I work with our English language learners at the high school and also at Utah Middle School. So tonight, and Dr. Manelli, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Tonight, I would like to share with you a video segment that one of our EMS students made for our Foreign Language Week, which we celebrate in our district in March. And, but first, I really would like to give you a little bit of information about the student. So, Anastasia Podlezhna, she's in 12th grade. She's an English as a new language student from Ukraine. She came to New York to finish high school due to the exceptionally difficult situation in her native country caused by the war. Her accomplishments thus far are extraordinarily impressive, especially considering the fact that she has only been in the United States for not even 1 year. Anastasia started our high school in September of 2022 with very little English language proficiency. She scored on the emerging level for the NICES Lab test, which is placement test when the students come here from another country. However, with this very low level of English proficiency, she still managed to maintain above 90 average in all of her classes every quarter, quarter 1, quarter 2, and now quarter 3 as well. She also took algebra. She also took algebra regions without being in a class, prepared all by herself, and passed with 82. Anastasia is capable of maintaining such a high level academically while also working at a restaurant in Melville after school and on the weekends. Her drive and determination are also evident in being a very active member in West Islip FBLA chapter, which I am the advisor of with Mrs. McCrally. Also, she participates in every single activity that we run through our E&L program. She participated in morning announcements, which we will see in a few minutes. She also participated in International Festival, E&L Collaboration Day at Okonak. She also worked collaboratively and led a group of other students, our ELs, on designing and decorating our E&L classroom door for the PS I Love You Day that we celebrate in February. Above all, she's also very kind, thoughtful, and compassionate. Anytime a student in our class has questions or needs assistance of any kind, Anastasia is there to help. She's my amazing assistant, literally, in my class. When a new student joined our class just very recently, Anastasia was the first one to welcome him and help him with the way around the building, and also how to navigate the gym class, which could be very complicated sometimes. So at this point, Anastasia is planning to attend Farmingdale College this fall, and I just would like to recognize her. She's sitting right here. So at this time, we would like to share with you an incredible segment that she created all by herself for our International Week in March. Thank you.
Я Анастасія, я родом з України. Війна. Всього слова. А скільки болю, гіркоти, самотності і смерті несе в собі це слово. Війна – це породження зла, людського зла. Війна – це не тільки минуле людства, це, на жаль, і сьогодення. На жаль, тепер і наше нове покоління знає, що таке війна. Більшість українців ніколи не бачили її на власні очі, але добре знають, що вона десь близько причаїлась на рідній землі. Раніше лише із сторінок підручника історії ми дізнавалися про війну, про її наслідки, а вже сьогодні вона прийшла у наш дім.
I am Anastasia. I come from Ukraine. War, just a word, but how much pain, bitterness, loneliness, and death this word carries. War is the birth of evil, human evil. War is not only humanity's past, it is unfortunately its present. Unfortunately, even now, our new generation knows what war is. Most Ukrainians have never seen her with their own eyes, but they know very well that she is lurking somewhere nearby in their native land. Previously, we learned about the war and its consequences only from the pages of a history textbook, but today it has come to our home.
Зимовий ранок, 24 лютого, 2022 рік. О 4-й годині ранку сталася подія, яка сколихнула увесь світ. Прокинувшись від маминого крику, у мене все змішалося в голові від страшного слова – війна. Що робити? Як діяти? Паніка. Дуже добре пам'ятаю цей ранок, який, напевно, залишився у пам'яті кожного українця на все життя. Вороги, які називались нашими братами, сьогодні вбивають мирних.
Winter morning. On February 24th, 2022, at 4 in the morning, an event occurred that shook the whole world. I woke up to my mother's scream. Everything got mixed up in my head from the terrible word war. What shall I do? How to act? Panic. I remember this morning very well, which will surely remain in the memory of every Ukrainian for the rest of their lives. Enemies who were called our brothers are today killing civilians and our military men.
У такий складний час не можна стояти осторонь подій, які відбувалися навколо нас. За час війни ми об'єдналися сильніше, ніж були до війни. Всі роблять те, що можуть. Хтось став волонтером, хтось лікарем, інші виготовляють бронежилети, шиють білизну для захисників, готують смачну їжу. Усі, хто має бажання допомогти, приносять купи овочі, каву, чай, консервацію, солодощі, а також ліки, засоби гігієни, теплі речі.
In such a difficult time, it is impossible to stand aside from the events that are happening around us. During the war, we united even more than before the war. Everyone does what they can. Someone became a volunteer, someone became a doctor, others made body armor, sewed underwear for defenders, and cooked delicious food. Everyone who wants to help brings cereals, vegetables, coffee, tea, preserves, sweets, as well as medicines, hygiene products, warm things, etc.
Моя найбільша мрія – це закінчення війни. Сподіваюся, що саме цього року це стане реальністю. Ми все обов'язково відбудуємо. Наша нація незламна, працьовита, дружня, гостинна, сильна, щедра, співуча, і ніхто її не здолає, бо в нас є сила, а сила в єдності.
My biggest dream that I want to fulfill after this war is impossible right now. I hope that it will become a reality this year. We will definitely rebuild everything. Our nation is indomitable, hardworking, friendly, hospitable, strong, generous, singing, and no one can defeat it. Because we have strength, and strength is in unity.
Я Анастасія, я родом з України. Війна. Всього слова. А скільки болю, гіркоти, самотності і смерті несе в собі це слово.
Thank you so much to Anastasia, and thank you to all of our students. We congratulated our students on their athletic awards, their stock market awards. And thank you all for being here if you're coming just for that portion of the meeting. We do want to allow our students who received awards, if you choose to exit at this time, you are free to do so before we continue the rest of our meeting.
All right, well, to say that that was emotional, I think would be an understatement. What an incredibly strong, brave young man you are. I wish you and your family and everyone else back home health, happiness, and nothing but the best. And with that being said, at this time, I do want to take a moment to address concerns about school safety. We all understand that this is a critical issue. We are committed to ensuring the safety of all students and staff members in our schools. In the aftermath of the recent instances of school violence in our nation, we'd like to assure all stakeholders that preventative measures and proactive strategies are in place and that our schools remain safe and secure for everyone. Dr. Romanelli has recently sent the parents' grad letter listing many of these safety measures. And in just a few moments, Director of School Safety, Mr. Sean McAlevey, will provide another update of some of the implemented security measures used to prevent unauthorized individuals from entering our schools. The Board of Education is dedicated to working in collaboration with parents, students, and community members to overcome the issue and to ensure the safety of our schools. Together we can enhance the physical safety and support our students and encourage positive mental health within our schools. We know that safety is not just about physical security measures. Here at West Islip, we will continue to also focus on creating a nurturing and supportive school environment where students feel safe and supported. This includes providing counseling services and mental health resources, promoting positive behavior, and encouraging open communication between students, staff, and administrators. We continue to urge parents and students to join us in this effort by reporting any suspicious behaviors or instances they may observe to the appropriate authorities and school officials. The safety of our students and staff is of paramount importance, and we will continue to take all necessary steps to ensure that our schools remain safe and a welcoming place to learn and grow. Those of us that sit up here are not just Board of Education members, but we're also parents. Parents who have children in the school district, and we want what everybody else wants, which is for our most prized possessions in life, our children, to have nothing but safe schools, and of course the best education, and we're dedicated to trying our best to do both. Thank you all for your continued support and vigilance in helping to keep our community safe. In this moment in time, I am going to introduce Mr. McAlevey, who has a presentation for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fossey. Good evening. My name is Sean McAlevey. I'm the Director of School Safety for the West Islip Public School District. In light of recent tragedies across the nation and locally, the district would like to provide everyone here tonight with an update on our enhanced security measures in the district. A little bit about myself. I come from a law enforcement and security background, which provides me with the necessary experience to be in this position. This is a position I take very seriously. I am a parent, just like you, of two West Islip students of elementary school who are both in attendance tonight, along with my wife, who is a guidance counselor. So you can imagine what some of the conversations are like in our household. Lockdown drills, and then my wife comes swooping in and she's the counselor. Okay? So it's very important to us. I have a direct connection with this community, and this is something that I take extremely serious. So to begin tonight's presentation, I just would like to speak about the staff here, the school safety staff. The school safety staff is made up of active sub-county police officers, court officers, corrections officers, as well as retired NYPD officers, Port Authority police officers, and MTA police officers. 95% of the staff here has some type of law enforcement experience. We also employ school safety officers with fire, EMS, and military backgrounds as well. Some of these certificates that school safety officers possess is CPR, AED, Narcan, tourniquet training, de-escalation tactics, as well as active shooting training that was provided by the Suffolk County Police Department. We have guards stationed at every building, but multiple guards at every building across the district that are trained to be there in case there's an emergency. I will highlight Don Lettieri, who's been a guard in this district for 23 years. He's been a Suffolk County police officer for 28 years. He's still currently a Suffolk County police officer, and he's the lead guard here in West Islip for all of our schools during the school day. So we appreciate everything that Don brings to us in his district here. I also would like to introduce the Deputy Commissioner Carter from the Suffolk County Police Department, who has come here tonight to give you a brief overlook of how the Suffolk County Police Department supports us as a district and what their role would be in the event of a school emergency. So we want to thank Deputy Commissioner for coming. So let's just get into some of the safety accomplishments that we've accomplished over the last few years. The most recent one being the 3mm attack certified window film that was installed in every school in the district at the first level. Every classroom window, every door, exterior door, and every security vestibule in every building, this film was applied to these windows as an extra layer of enhanced security. We're going to move along to the surveillance security system, the camera system that we have here. The district now, it has hundreds of cameras on the inside and outside of our buildings. We have 2 state-of-the-art command centers, one on the north side of town and one on the south side of town, where we have 2 retired New York City police officers monitoring cameras 24 hours a day. We have eyes on the outside of every building, on the inside of every building, to enhance our security here, with 2 retired law enforcement officers keeping an eye on us. These 2 law enforcement officers are in constant contact with the building level school safety officers. That there's an issue, if there's something they need to look at, if there's something that might spark concern, we're in constant contact with these school safety officers in our command centers throughout the whole school day. The new digital repeater system, there's a new system we installed about a year and a half ago. It allows for us to communicate via our handheld radios in the event of an emergency. Not necessarily an active shooter, but a natural disaster, a hurricane, a tornado. If the phones go out, the light goes out, we have handheld radios, and the new system that was just put in place allows us to reach further across the district. So if there's an emergency up at Udall, we have a button on there that can get an all call that we can reach all the way down to Bayview, and everybody in between can hear what's going on. Okay, so we enhanced that a year and a half ago, and that was a great addition. Again, to our security enhancement here. School safety vehicles, over the past few years, we have purchased 4 school safety vehicles, and as you can probably see them out front right now, this allows our patrol officers to go around the district, get on fields if we have to, ride up to playgrounds if we have to, check windows on the outside of our buildings. You'll start to see these vehicles, or if you haven't already, at events such as field days, moving up ceremonies, Halloween parades. So just the omnipresence of having these security vehicles out there and security officers with them that are very trained to be there. The Suffolk County Share Program is a program that the Suffolk County Police Department and the West Islip Union Free School District participates in. If there's ever an emergency here within the district, Suffolk County Police Department, their real-time crime center, can immediately tap into our cameras and get a live feed of everything that's going on in the building. This would assist first responders and give them the necessary tools for when they arrive to our building. They know where they're going, they know what's going on. So it's a program that we just went over a couple of hurdles with, and we're up to 100%, and we're very proud of that program in partnership with the Suffolk County Police Department. The Rave Panic Button is an app on the cell phones that every employee of the district is afforded an opportunity to have. In the event of an emergency, not necessarily an active shooter, but if there's a medical emergency, they can go on their phone and just hit a button. And by hitting that button, it goes right to the Suffolk County Police Department, and they're sending an ambulance, they're sending a police officer, whatever the emergency requires. So it's just another avenue for us not to have to get on the phone and call 911 if we have a class full of students, who you just hit a button, and then we know that they're coming to us. This next one is the blue light lockdown system. It's a pretty big system that we're very proud of here. We've done a lot of work with this system over the years. It was started prior to my arrival here as a security director, and we just finished it, I would say, last year. So the blue light lockdown system kind of works like a fire alarm system. Fire alarms are red, and you pull them if there's a fire. Blue light lockdown system are blue push buttons placed all around our buildings that if you lift the cover up and you push the button in, it'll automatically generate a pre-recorded message from the building principal putting the building on lockdown. Simultaneously, it also sends an alert to Suffolk County Police Department's headquarters, communications department, to start sending resources to the school in the event of an emergency. It also disables all the doors in the event you have students outside or staff members out to lunch or outside with a class. It will disable all their IDs so they can't come back in the building and walk into an unsafe situation. This is a building, this is a program that we have that is in every one of our buildings, and there's push buttons throughout all of our buildings. There's one right up there, as you can see. We're very proud of this system. We were one of the first districts to put a system like this in place. We have been, other districts have come to us to see how it works, and like a pilot program, so to say. And it's come a long way, and we're very proud of this system that's in place. All right, so now I'm going to get into the topic, which is why I'm sure everybody's here tonight, and that is armed security officers, okay? At this current moment, the school district does not have armed security officers. However, we are in the process of doing our research to potentially get all the information that we would need to make a decision on if we're going to go with armed guards or not. I personally, over the last few weeks, have visited multiple schools, local school districts around West Islip that currently have armed guards. And I've learned a few things. It's not a blueprint. Every school has a different blueprint when it comes to armed guards. Some school districts have armed guards in the buildings. Some school districts have armed guards that are only allowed on the outside of the buildings. Some school districts hire outside agencies to do their armed guard work. Some school districts hire their own guards that possess the trainings already and hire them as armed guards. So, this is something that we are being proactive with. We are definitely hearing the community in regard to this. We are doing all our research. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. Okay, like I said, every school district has a different blueprint, and we want to make sure that we have all the information and all the intelligence out there, so if we do decide to go with armed guards, we come up with a good fit that is good for West Islip School District. So that's the armed guard topic. I'm sure I think Dr. Romanelli will open the floor a little bit later for any questions if you have on that. And lastly, I want to really express the fact that I have colleagues all over Long Island that I talk to, and we have group chats and group texts, and we're constantly communicating with each other about what's going on in other districts in terms of school safety and what events are happening there. And we share and we network and we see what works in different situations, and we all learn from that collaboratively. I can tell you right now, there's not another district that has a Board of Education and a district office like we do here in West Islip. There are school safety directors out there that struggle to get half of what we already have in place here in West Islip. So I really want to highlight that because it's extremely important to us to have that support and have that safe school, because without a safe school, you don't have the kids up here. You start with a safe school, and then the sky's the limit. So I just want to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Assistant Superintendent Lisa Brown, Assistant Superintendent Bill Morrison, for all your support in the school safety missions. It's greatly appreciated. And lastly, if I may, discuss the relationship that the West Islip School District has with the Suffolk County Police Department. Don Lettieri is one of 3 active Suffolk County police officers that we have hired as a school safety officer. We have the school resource officer that comes to the school district. He'll attend lockdown drills, he'll walk our hallways. We have the Homeland Security section. Lisa McVeigh is out there, and they provide, a couple of years ago, they did a threat assessment for our whole school district. The inspector of the 3rd precinct, I am in constant contact, and so is Dr. Romanelli with the Suffolk County Police Department. And we have the Deputy Commissioner of the Suffolk County Police Department here tonight. Folks, that is a plus that we have this gentleman here tonight who's also a West Islip resident. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Deputy Commissioner Carter to the podium.
good evening, everyone. So, as Sean was saying, I am a West Islip resident. I have 2 children in this district, so for me, this is personal. And the safety of every single student in this district is personal to me. So I just want to start with that. I want to thank the board, I want to thank Superintendent Romanelli, and of course Sean and Don for having me here tonight, just to say a couple of quick words about the Suffolk County Police Department, what we're doing, and what we've done since I arrived here as Deputy Police Commissioner last year. Prior to my assignment here in Suffolk County, I was assigned to the Chief of Department's office overseeing all the operational units for the New York City Police Department. Those units included patrol, transit, housing, our special operations units, our heavy weapons units, and our transportation bureau. So when we came out here, Police Commissioner and I, one of the first things we looked at is we looked at vulnerabilities. We looked at soft targets. We looked at all the different things and how we can increase and make things safer in Suffolk County. And of course, the school districts is one of our primary concerns and something that we addressed immediately. We looked at the response time. We looked at how long it would take from a call to come in, whether it be from the RAVE app, whether it be from a 911 call, whether it be from a student texting to 911, how long it would take from that 911 caller to get it over to dispatch, to get it to one of our police officers to get into this building, or the elementary school, or another middle school, or somewhere in West Islip where our students are. And I'm very happy that we were able to make a couple of small changes in policy, a couple of small changes in strategy, and we've reduced that response time from our 911 operations center to our dispatch to under a minute. Okay, so huge difference, and when every second means something, that change that we made is already, we're seeing it, and we're seeing it throughout Long Island in some of the high priority calls that we receive. We also looked at our rifle cars. Every single precinct has at least one rifle car. In the year 2023 and what everybody's seen, it's not enough. And we changed that. We changed that all the way out to Fire Island, we changed it out to East Moriches, and we changed it all the way to Huntington. And we now have more rifle cars out patrolling the streets of Suffolk County in the event of any kind of incident that would require their response. We also looked at our school resource officers and making sure that they have all the equipment, the tools, the training, and the resources to get the job done. Because I know the value that our school resources have in the collaboration between security, staff, faculty, and the students. So, once again, we're making improvements in that space. One of the biggest things and one of the biggest adjustments we made in the last 15 months are our active shooter drills. When we came out here, we looked at how many we were doing and if we were practicing the way we should be in the event that something happens. And being a West Islip resident, having 2 of my children here at the high school, I said, what a better place to try and get an active shooter drill here in West Islip. And with the cooperation of the school board and the superintendent, we made that happen last year in August, right before the school year started. We trained the school security staff. We trained everybody, we trained faculty, and we had one of the best active shooter drills to date. And we're continuing those active shooter drills. So far this year, we've already done 3, and we're looking to do 3 more before the end of the school year. And that training and those active shooter drills will continue as we move into the summer months in preparation for next year's school. So, once again, it's really the conversations that we have. What I've seen from Sean in the time I've been here, and I am all over every single school district in Long Island, in Suffolk County, this school district is serving as the model for other districts to emulate in the policies, procedures, and the strategy. And I really just want to credit everybody here at the dais, everybody behind me, for the work that they're doing. And it's the eyes and ears of the parents. I've been getting a lot of phone calls since I came out here. And all of the intelligence that I get is invaluable to me to do my job to make sure that every single student here is safe. So I thank you, I thank all of you, and if anybody has any questions for me after the meeting, I will stand by and I'll take all your questions. Thank you.
So before I anyone would like to come up and speak on the topic of school safety, I just need to reiterate again, and I've said this before in the past, and I have to say it again, and I'm very proud to sit up here and be part of this team, both to my right and to my left. Everyone here has just gone above and beyond with what needs to be done to ensure not just the rigorous academic standards that we hold here and the athletic achievements and the music and the arts, but of course that of school safety. And so I just want to thank everyone who's been a part of this whole process going on to ensure that we not only have, but we will continue to do everything in our power to make this place as safe as possible. So thank you, everybody. Okay, at this time, I would like to invite anyone up who would like to speak on the topic of school safety. Is there anyone who would like to say anything, either to us, to Mr. Carter, Mr. McElhaney? Okay. In that regards, we're going to move over to personnel, and I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Romanelli.
That's the question. Say it at the end. Do you want the people have comments to make? Is that just for this topic now?
If you want to discuss school safety, yeah, now could be a good time when we have everyone here.
So this would be the time to do that.
Correct. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, no, you can't discuss safety later.
We have, if you submitted a card for this evening about other topics, though, we do still have those, and there'll be additional time to come up and raise those topics.
I have a question or two, perhaps. Thanks.
Hi, I wasn't planning on speaking. I have some questions about the blue light that you were talking about. You said if students and teachers were outside at recess or on the field or whatever, and the building locks down, they're locked out, which sounds great in theory, but what if the threat is outside? Then what, like, I mean, maybe that's an uneducated question, but I'm wondering, like, what happens then?
No, it's a valid question. We are mandated by the state to complete 4 lockdown drills a year, and we incorporate the blue light system in our lockdown drill. So there are lights on the exterior of the building that the teachers know when they see if they're flashing and go the opposite way. Now, we spend a lot of time outside for numerous events, gym, phys ed, taking the class out, it's a beautiful day. Teachers know when we practice on where they need to go if there's an emergency outside of the building. That's something that we continuously work on.
All right, thank you. The only other question I have was about, you said you guys are doing research and speaking to various different districts at how you might potentially implement armed guards. And obviously I know that's something that's going to require some time. But do you have any sort of timeline in mind for when we might have an answer on whether or not we would move forward with something like that? Like for us, time is of the essence. So we're like, are we waiting a couple months? Are we waiting years?
I really don't have a timeline on that. Again, we want to get all the research in and get it right. Again, this is a hot topic. We don't want to just have a knee-jerk reaction and we're going to go do this and do that. We want to get all the research and make sure that we sit down, develop policy, and put policy in place and procedures in place to accompany that if we decide to go down that route. So to answer your question, I really don't have a timeline on that.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else have?
As far as the timeline,
Yeah.
this is going to sound fluffy, but I would think it's going to take as long as it takes, as Mr. McElhaney said, for us to get the data and the information that we need to make the best decision possible. I don't know if it's fair to put a timestamp on that. You know, if we say, yeah, we want to have this done within a month, what happens if a month is enough time to gather all the correct information and we end up saying no when we could have said yes or vice versa?
Understood.
So probably, again, just to reiterate, no timeline, but we want to get that information quicker than not.
And I can say it's our number one priority, so.
Okay. That's good.
I think just adding to that as well, you know, we're having these discussions as a team repeatedly on a regular basis. You know, we meet very, very regularly. So when we're having these discussions, anytime that you want to come to a Board of Education meeting and, you know, keep raising these types of topics, you know, we will give updates, you know, as we go along, you know, in the coming months. So.
Yep.
And Ms. Walrup, I just also want to say to your point with being outside for lockdown, that concept is not new. There's a fire alarm while phys ed classes and recess are outside. There are, like Mr. McLean said, again, designated places where those staff will bring the students away from the building to a secure situation. So the concept of that happening while they're outside is not new. And of course, when we run drills, you know, we gotta ask, when are we running the drills? Are we running them during lunch when the cafeteria is located, packed with kids? Are we running them in between bells when the hallways are full? Or are we just doing it in class when it would be the ideal situation? So the answer is we're trying to cover every imaginable situation.
That's good. That was actually a thought that I had as well, was, you know, what happens when the kids are in lunch, like you said?
You know, unfortunately, it's probably an infinite amount of what ifs, and that's what is obviously very problematic with this entire situation. So I have the utmost confidence that we will try to answer all of those. You know,
We do our drills during the lunch periods as well, and every scenario you can think of, you know, we do. I'm sure there are students who are here this evening can attest for that as well.
Okay. I want to just ask one quick question, and I don't need the microphone. You mentioned all of these people that are employed, that are already working for the district and keeping us safe. Do any of those people carry a firearm?
No. No.
Hi. So for all children, most elementary schools are the same way, where it's pretty much a big open field. And I understand that in what it's, but if we get someone is at food, and they're outside, where are the designated safe places for the children to go?
Yeah, that is something that's discussed at the district level, in our district level emergency response plans, that all the teachers are made aware prior to going outside. So everybody's well versed on what they're doing.
yeah, I don't think that's something we would make public, as these meetings are recorded. Anyone would have access to that information.
So
we
in
don't
order
want
to
to put out
protect the
there.
integrity and safety of all of our students, there's certain things that we cannot discuss in an open forum, but I'd be more than happy to talk to you afterwards.
Second Commissioner mentioned that from the 911 call to dispatch was less than a minute, which is awesome. What would the estimated time be to have officers on site once the dispatch goes out?
No, that's a great question.
Obviously, a lot can happen.
That's a great question. One of the things we looked at too is we looked at the various relief points here in West Islip. The West Islip Firehouse right up the block here on Union. And we have, in addition to the 2 patrol sectors that patrol this small area, we also have K9, we have a highway unit that also reliefs at this point. So we have a lot of police resources down in this area. When we look at response time, if that sector is not on assignment, the response time from 911 to dispatch to the officer en route is going to be under a minute. So we're talking under 2 minutes to get here. If they're on assignment, unless there's something more important than something going on, like an active shooter, which is just not possible, that officer is leaving whatever job he's on to get here. And as I said, we have 2 sectors in the vicinity of West Islip High School. So response is going to be very quick. To get the additional resources such as emergency service, aviation, once again, all within a few minutes. All right? Thank you.
Sorry, just to piggyback on that. So what are the chances are that officer that is responding in an active shooter situation actually has a rifle and can take down a target? Like, what is the chances of that actually happening?
So,
and how long would it take to get someone with a rifle to that?
So recently we just graduated a lot of recruits, and we're sending most of them to rifle training, and they're going to come out rifle trained, which is something that hasn't been done in the past. We have more rifle cars out there in the field that, once again, the way we've directed policy is any type of incident such as an active shooter, such as a major threat at a school, that rifle car is coming. From the 3rd precinct, response is with the multiple rifle cars I can't put an exact number of minutes on it, but it is minutes. And it's not going to be in the double digits, 10, 15 minutes for a rifle car to be able to see.
And if I could address that, well, most of us participated in the active shooter drill that was here in August. And the first thing that all the officers said is their first and only action is to go out and take out the shooter. So as soon as they get on site, that's all they're doing is going to find the shooter. So that's their first thing, whether they have a rifle or not. They're going into the building and taking out the shooter. They're not having conversations, they're going in. So that was what we learned in that training.
And just to piggyback off of that, one of the things and one of the reasons I was so passionate about having an active shooter drill here in West Islip is to have all of our 3rd Precinct police officers cycle through the training here at the district, to become familiar with the district, to become familiar with the staff. We also had people from the Sheriff's Department, state troopers, and all because in an active shooter situation in any school district, anywhere, we're going to get multiple agencies responding. And the coordination and everything has to happen long before that incident happens. And that's how we practice, and we practice often.
So,
Sure. Please.
So technically, we have 2 minutes potentially of someone arriving with an arm, with like 120 seconds, a lot can happen in 120 seconds.
Absolutely.
So it goes back to the point of, what if we have an armed security guard that is there immediately, that can on site and take out the target and not let 120 seconds or 2 minutes go?
Your question is exactly why we are doing our due diligence.
I just said that, just wanted to what she said, and I was just holding back. About 3 years ago, myself and about 4 other parents, moms, and dads, we spoke about the last school shooting that happened 3 years back. And I think the estimate of time was like 6 minutes for the police to arrive. And one of those most horrible instances occurred was a 6 or 7 minute gap. And at that point in time, I know that people had asked was the status of considering an armed guard at the school. And I was told at that time that they'll look into it. And then the next one happened, and they'll look into it. And I totally believe that we cannot control everything in our lives, and I understand, like you said, that, for instance, things can happen anywhere, anytime. Okay, that's a given, right? That's why we believe in prayer, which people laugh at. Okay, but my point is that 3 years ago I brought this topic up, and the same answers been given. And I'm not accusing anybody here. It's the same problem in every school district, in every county, in every town, in every city, in every state. And it's a combination of metal detectors, and you guys are great, and what you're doing is wonderful, and I'm not undermining that at all, believe me. But the response time, even myself, over the summer, I saw a little brush fire on Sunrise Highway. Okay, I called it in. They answered the phone right away. My son saw the same brush fire. He was driving behind me. There was an operator on the phone. Nobody answered the actual phone. There was 9 minutes until they pulled me back. Okay, and I'm not saying that to be dramatic or just to be a negative person. I think I'm a pretty positive person. My point is that I think there's a lot of fear, and like I told you before, the problem is the bad people get the guns. The good people are responsible for the guns. And that's the problem we have across our society. That we in New York, like my brother lives in Arizona, and I explained this 3 years ago, their culture is knowledge with a firearm, how to use it, how to respect it. They teach their children at a young age, this is dangerous. Our culture is, ooh, I'm so afraid. Okay, and guess what? The criminals are not afraid. The bad people are not afraid. They're not afraid. They're willing to do damage and to hurt people. And our mindset is so, oh my gosh, there's a school, it's so dangerous. How can we trust the one armed guard who has it? Well, guess what? We have to put our trust into the better option. So all I ask you is that when you look at the data and look at the studies, that you really do it quicker than 3 years ago. That's all.
I just want to also piggyback on that as well. So, Sean, we met yesterday at the meeting. You said something at the end of the meeting before I left it really stuck. And it was, God forbid something happened. And, God lost children, staff members, friends, administrators, people lose lives. In the event that happened, you said, that's on you. You would have to wear that and hold that every day and do that look in the mirror every day and, hold that with you. So if anything ever were to happen, you know, no one should ever have to look in the mirror and say, you know what, this is what I could have done. You know, we should have had this, we didn't do that, you know, we're going to have everything out there, and if we have the ultimate security for our children, which, you know, I say, the probably the far is the way to go. I do believe that, well, if a tragic situation does happen, you wouldn't have to look at yourself and say, man, I should have done this, or I could have done that. You know, we can actually look at it collectively and say, we have an immensely significant. We have everything we needed. There was nothing else we could have done more. You know, I really appreciate everything that you're doing. It's much appreciated from everyone in this community. And I'm excited that you guys are looking into it, but, you know, like you said, like, if we could.
Well, I'll answer that in two parts. And one is, Mr. McCann said that this is our number one priority.
Yeah.
Right? You heard that from the Board of Education directly. Second part of that is, I'm never going to get to a place and say that we have everything in place. We're always we're going to continuously look at how we could get better. And technology's forever evolving. And what kind of cameras can help us? What kind of devices can help us? So we're never going to get complacent. We're never going to get to a point where we say, okay, now we can just stop and just let everything run itself. No, we're not going to get to that point. But like Mr. McCann said, this is our number one priority on the topic right now.
Yeah, and I think to Sean's point on that is, you know, going through the school shootings, about a year ago, I heard a great line from one of the pastors after one of the school shootings. He said, you can harden your defenses as much as you want, but we really have to start softening the hearts of the children and the community. And I think part of what we'll talk about later is the investments we're making in mental health and the awareness of what our students are going through. Now, it could be a student from outside our district, but we have to concentrate on what we do is make sure that we've got the resources for mental health in West Isa. And I'm confident that what we'll talk about later is we're investing in that as well. So we can barbed wire the district, you can put up, you know, not let any visitors in. We can do all that, but we really also have the other side of that is work on softening the hearts of the students and the community members. And I think we're making big investments in that as well.
Can I just ask the name of who was just speaking?
Me?
Yes.
Yes. Christina.
Well, all right. What's your last name? Milano? I just want to say, Ms. Milano, that I agree 100% with what you said. And I think the last thing any of us would ever want to say is, could we have done more? So it is that kind of mentality that is really driving all of us. So, yeah, thank you.
You keep talking about the active shooter drills. When you had the active shooter drills, and there were officers in there, correct?
That's correct.
Were those officers carrying weapons at the time?
So they carry, fake guns, and they shoot blanks. So, but there is a, they make it, and many of you that went through the drill, they make it very realistic. Your hair.
Stepping over shelves.
If anybody can Google, I do believe some of the active shooter drills we have been posted on News 12, and you can see some of the work that we put into it to make it realistic. We make it realistic for the officers. That when they actually, in the event, as I said, we practice, and we practice as if the incident was, right in front of us. And that's why we practice so often. That's why we make these drills realistic. And that's why, it's, from kids screaming to people bleeding in the hallways, tourniquets, we do a lot. We've done a mass casualty drill out east, where we landed aviation and we were boarding people, and as I said, it looks, way too real, and it really gets us.
To make sure that goes away.
What's that?
We need more guns to make sure that stops.
So, and to the point, the Suffolk County Police Department, this, from what I've seen here in my 15 months here in Suffolk County, the support between the board, understanding the police department, and understanding security is, if not the best, one of the best in Suffolk County. So I feel that whatever decision is made, it is going to be the right one for West Isa.
dream that there was an active shooter in the building. And she was hiding under a desk for hours. She shared this with me this morning. And, you know, it was said over the loudspeaker that all was safe. And there was a substitute teacher that was heading out for a class and said, I'm really sorry that I have to do this to all of you. And the substitute teacher was strapped with a bomb. It was going to blow up the class. This was the dream of my child last night, which is so very sad, right? That, I mean, when I went to school, I didn't dream about these things. There was other horrors as a child, but so it's a very sad situation that we can all agree on. But how are we, so my kids know that there's like lockdown drills, right? And we're trying to teach our children to honestly deal with a situation that should be taken care of by adults, in my opinion. But we have to teach our children to be proactive. How are we, like, I have an 8-year-old and a 17-year-old, right? What are we saying to the 8-year-old? This is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it, not to scare the living daylights out of them, compared to the 17-year-old that could see, hopefully I'm training her up right, but could see anything she wants on the internet, right? And can get anything at her disposal. So the balance of like, this is what we're doing, and this is why we have to do it, but not to scare them so much that they're afraid to go to school. Or we arrive at school in the morning, I drop all of my kids off and I take all of them up, and there's a police car there, right? Like, and my daughter was like, oh my gosh, I wonder why the police is here today. It could be for nothing, right? It could be for whatever, but these are the thoughts that are going through our kids' minds for lots of different reasons. So my overall question is how are we educating them about what we're doing and why we're doing it, but not scaring them so much in the same manner? Does that make sense to anybody, or can I just like off the deep end here?
Yeah, I would just add that, thank you so much for sharing that. You know, we are going to be, just like we presented this evening on school safety, we're going to be presenting on all the different, you know, health and wellness initiatives that we have in the district, the mental health supports that we have in place. You know, we just recently put out a panorama survey for our students to check in about, you know, feelings that they're having, if they feel they have supports in the building that they can go to, and putting things like that in place. So we'll be sharing the results of those surveys that our students have reported back to us about their own, you know, feelings in the building, and things like safety and, you know, fear and things along those lines, but also if they have a trusted adult to go to in the building. And so we'll be sharing that at a future board meeting, and also talking about all the different mental health supports we have in place in the building. And there is a lot of support in our buildings, you know, and I know that our teachers and administrators do a great job of, if we did put a plan like this in place, you know, that would be certainly part of it that we would consider, is the, you know, how to roll it out for students as well.
But like a more specific question, like Henry, who's my 8-year-old, is like Henry, who's a 3rd grader, we're going to do a lockdown drill right now, Henry, and this is the reason why. Or is there no reason given? Or it's just like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, how are we explaining it to such a young child as to why we're doing this? Does that make sense?
You know, we have procedures that we follow on each of. I have 3 school-age children of my own, so I know that feeling as well, 3 elementary-age students. And, you know, so I think that it's something that really has to be a partnership, you know, with parents and with the school, you know, but it's really talking about that it's practice in case there's a dangerous situation in the building. And that's pretty much what it is, you know. And I know I don't think anyone up here would argue that it's a sad state of affairs that we have to do those drills, but we do feel that it's an important part of our, you know, preparedness measures that we take as a district. So.
And I think, I'm sorry to interrupt, but to your point, it's exactly why we as parents have a job and obligation as well. You know, one thing I always remember was my mom telling me this when I was an adult, how she used to go through my room and look through my stuff, and I would say, why? I didn't have anything to hide. And she goes, I know that. It was always my job to. And that's something that I adopted as a parent as well. And I have the utmost trust of my children, but they're still children, right? So the importance of checking cell phones, checking messages,
understanding what social media accounts they have, what they're viewing. This is an issue that none of our parents had to deal with like we are. And to Dr. Romanelli's point, it is definitely a partnership of us, the parents, and of course faculty and staff. And from the parents that I know and I talk with, this is a conversation that we just have, and it's always kind of like, well, what are you doing? Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll start doing the same thing. And you know, I do think the fact that so many of you here tonight, it shows that you already have that in you, and I commend you all in that regard as well. But it is definitely, to Dr. Romanelli's point, a partnership that we need to have with parents.
Hi, good evening. I know the district has protocols in place that faculty and staff are made aware of as far as when they see the blue light, if they're outside, where to go, what a typical lockdown procedure is. My question is, substitute teachers, whether they are per diem coming just for a day, or they're perm subs, are they receiving the same kind of training as far as what to do if they're at Overknock one day versus Manitowoc? Because I know each building may have their own nuances and certain protocols that they follow. If I'm a substitute teacher coming into a building, am I provided with some sort of document that says what to do if I'm here, or what these certain codes mean? If an announcement is made and they use a specific kind of language unique to the school, just because, you know, you do have people coming into the building that might not be used to the, you know, daily procedures. So my question is, how are those people being, I guess, supported when they come in to protect our students?
Yeah, that's all part of our building emergency response plans. You know, we have, whether you take it from just the moment that a substitute goes into the main office in the morning, they're issued a key, you know, for the room in the event they do need to lock down the classroom. There is a folder for if they do need to evacuate that space, and there's also safety information within the classroom itself for if substitute teachers do need to go into a lockdown as well. So it's definitely something that's part of our building safety plans as well.
I'll just piggyback off that as well, because I'm a teacher as well. I'm just saying that I taught summer school, and every building in my district, which is not this district, does have different policies in place. So just moving forward.
I'm a teacher as well, that's why I mentioned.
Yeah, and it's funny because the district, the school that I'm in, when my principal says it's over, the lockdown is over. But in another building that I was in during the summer, you cannot open that door until you see a uniform cop open that door. So just having it congruent in every building, I think would be helpful. And then the other thing, piggybacking off what she said as far as her 8-year-old and 17-year-olds, I know that in my district as well, we just had a very big tragedy. There was a very big tragedy. And our superintendent said something out, like, if this question is asked by the students, it was scripted. Like, this is exactly what you need to say, because it was the death of one of our students. It was a very violent death. So we were, like, very scripted on what exactly how to answer that. And I think that that's something that we should consider, scripting, how to answer for a kindergarten student. As a 5th grade teacher, I say this is a dangerous situation. We're practicing if somebody dangerous got in the building. I think for 5th grade, that's a great answer. I don't have a 17-year-old. I don't know what the right answer is, but I think that making a plan.
Some sort of uniform.
Yeah, when you make that plan, having a uniform, this is kindergarten, every teacher's saying this, because you have a teacher who's saying something different, and you have kids who have severe anxiety, and they do go home and have nightmares. So just something to consider that it really should be scripted, and then, you know, each teacher in every building and every, you know, grade level is saying the same thing. Just something to consider.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, and we have as part of our district equity committee right now, we have a subcommittee on critical conversations in the classroom and also at home. And we're actually talking about that, about, you know, what conversations need to take place in the classroom, what is it looking at elementary, middle, and high school, what conversations should not take place in school, and also, you know, having a parent evening about having those conversations at home so that we can all kind of develop a common language and have those conversations together. So definitely appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Partly agree with it, but Hudson made a good point about, again, I have a lot of opinions about public education. We
breaking down, and we are seeing the ripple effect of that throughout our country. And the reality is, yes, we can have a script, we can have ideas. I think good teachers do that naturally, and teachers who should not be having tenure, and teachers who are not effective should be gone anyway. That's another topic, okay? But I think really good teachers know how to answer children's questions, but more importantly, parents have to become better at parenting, because when 9/11 happened, we all went through tragedies 20 years ago as parents. My children, at that time, when I wasn't born, at the time, I had a 3rd grader and a 5th grader. Came home, it was my job to educate my children about what happened on 9/11. It was my faith, my knowledge, and my skill, I hope, and I had them draw pictures. And I explained to them simply, same thing with bad dreams, okay? There are people who are evil, and have pain in their hearts. They weren't created evil, but they chose evil. They have pain in their hearts that's not healed, okay? And we can't control that, but we can control our own behavior and what we do because of that. Okay, I think it's really, really important. And again, I believe teachers should do many, many things. I think non-effective teachers should be out of their jobs and should go out of tenure. But I do believe that parents have to parent, and we cannot expect the school to do every single thing for their children. And I don't mean that to be controversial, but it's critical because parents are giving their children over to schools, and you know how I feel about that already. And some of the things that children are learning from the school systems is not conducive to their mental health. Thank you.
Dr. Green. All right, there was a lot of piggybacking tonight, so I hope you guys aren't pulling any muscles. But you have, my joke. That in and of itself has made my day.
So, first of all, thank you very much for being transparent. I too attended the safety committee yesterday with a few other parents from baby, but Joe, what you're doing is fantastic, and you're being involved with us is awesome. So a tremendous addition to that. So I just want to set the table. But I think many of us know any good plan we really have to establish. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I really think that to settle all our hearts and minds right now, maybe in upcoming days you could really communicate what the board, the safety committee, when we're going to have an answer on what the benchmark. I don't know, it's put you on the spot at all. I just think it's the best thing for us here tonight. We're not looking for an answer now, but I think it's the best thing to do for all of us to set all the residents and parents' hearts and minds at rest.
We're going to, I can tell you this, that we are absolutely listening to everything that everyone has said tonight. We've been listening to emails, phone calls, meetings we've been having with everyone, and are really taking that all into account. So we will definitely have that conversation as follow-up to this evening and definitely reflect on everything that we've heard.
No more piggybacking, but you can speak.
I just wanted to say that we really do. I don't want it to seem like we're not appreciative. We see that you guys are actually moving forward with this stuff. We see the response. It's very, very nice to see. And we all really thank you for that. The one point that I just want to make to what you said though is that about a year ago we had another school shooting tragedy. And at that time I stood in front of this board and I asked about armed guards. And I was told we would look into it. And you are now looking into it, which I appreciate. But a year has passed. And as far as I can tell, you are just now looking into it. And so that is why we have like this sense of urgency and we're like, you know, we don't want to lose the momentum. We want to really see forward movement. And we don't want it to just fall by the wayside until the next tragedy. So that's...
No, I think that's actually an excellent point. And obviously having a drastic change in leadership maybe slowed the process down. But I think we are full steam ahead right now, and we're not stopping.
But also, you talked about the timeline of 3 years and 1 year. I think there's a different feeling now. It feels different. We feel different about it. Everybody here feels different about it now. And so I think that's the real driving idea behind change now compared to like 3 years ago, even a year ago.
One question to the Deputy Commissioner, real quick. Yes, thank you very much for coming today. You said there are two separate cars that patrol West Side City at all times, 24/7?
So We have multiple cars. We have cars in Brightwaters. We have numerous sectors that patrol the 3rd precinct. In the West Islip area, right, we have 2 sector cars that are designated to this specific area.
Okay, so there's 2 West Islip. So at any time, at all in Brightwood, Bay Shore, someone in 3rd precinct, those 2 sets of cars could be pulled out of West Islip and be in Brentwood, Bay Shore, or somewhere else.
It could be, sure. Sure, they could be. If there was a priority call that would pull somebody out of a specific area, whether pull somebody to West Islip from Brentwood or from Brentwood to West Islip, sure.
Right, so the 2 West Islip cars, if there's a heavy job in Bay Shore, North Bay Shore, those 2 cars are going to go to Bay Shore. So at that point, there's no cars in West Islip.
No, but we still have supervisors, we still have school resource officers, we still have our play close units, we still have a lot of units in addition to the primary sector officer. So,
Right, if there was like a heavy job in Bay Shore shooting, something like that, all those cars are going to go to that job, most likely, right?
not all, no.
Okay.
Not all.
Then in West Islip, so there's two sector cars patrolling West Islip. Does at least one of those cars at all times have a rifle in the car?
So our rifle cars are pending on who's qualified to use them.
Okay, so there might not be a rifle car on West Islip. If those guys are on that.
That's correct. No. If somebody's not in those rifle cars, somebody else will be in those rifle cars.
So is there a rifle car on West Islip?
So that's where it is. The rifle car moves around as to who's qualified to use them. So will it always be, can I sit here and firmly say at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, will there be a rifle car in West Islip in the 11975 zip code? No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we exceeded the 20-minute portion on this part. However, if you do wish to continue asking another question, there are big cards available in the back that we can get back to later on. I thank everyone. I thought this was a great conversation tonight. Some very, very well thought out questions. So I commend you all on that. But at this moment, I am going to move over to personnel. Dr. Romanelli.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. So our first item, I'd like to make a motion for item A1, probationary appointment of John Valentine, assistant principal, effective July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2026 at West Islip High School.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
John was almost appointed 45 minutes ago. And we can go to the city tonight. Congratulations, he's here tonight. John, give a round of applause, please. And John, I'm not joking when I say that I have your HR paperwork right here, and you can come get it after the meeting so you can fill it out. Thank you. Also, can I make a motion for item A2, the retirement of Jack Maniscalco, principal of Oakland School, effective July 1st, 2023.
I do have a discussion, and I really don't want to approve of this, but I think everyone's outburst is a testament to Mr. Maniscalco, who I have known for over a decade. I've sent 4 children through his buildings. And even though he's not here tonight, I'm still probably going to get choked up with this, but I have never met a kinder, gentler human soul who somehow knew the name of every student that has walked the halls of Oakland Elementary and Westbrook as well, where he was prior to. I'm a teacher. I have a student for 9 months, and I sometimes don't know their name. And I'm sorry I have to admit that, because that's the reality of it. But Mr. Maniscalco is a true treasure that we have been blessed to have as a principal, and he will forever be missed. And I am so grateful that I bought a house where I did, specifically because of Jack Maniscalco. So, reluctantly, all in favor? No. Oh, okay, good.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unfortunately, motion carries.
And just as a quick note, I know we've been at it for a little bit tonight, but just as a quick note, just a few sentences here. I just wrote down about Jack, just in seeing his name on the agenda. Jack Maniscalco is someone that is for the kids and for the staff of his building, Okanagan. He's someone that gets it and knows what education is all about. He's also a modest person, which is probably why you don't see him here tonight. He would have been really uncomfortable with all of us talking about him. So hopefully he watches the recording. We'll tell him what minute it's at and send it to him. We'll make sure he sees all the great things we have to say about him. A big element of leadership is developing the culture of your building as a principal. And Jack knew exactly how to build a positive culture. You felt that the second that you walk into his building. You can always feel space when you go inside. Okanagan is a special place because of the culture that Jack worked to build. Whether that was dressing as Elf on the Shelf on the roof this year, as greeting the students and staff as they came in for the holidays, having private jokes with students. I think that Jack had a private joke with every student I walked by. I didn't know how he kept them all straight, but that was wonderful. Or just stopping by classrooms. Jack was kind of like, the aunt or uncle that comes over and riles up the kids and leaves the teachers to deal with the aftermath and getting the kids back on track, which everyone loved though. It was all really a great, great part of him as a leader. And Jack was really, the word I would describe for Jack is that he was a legend here in West Islip, and it's going to be impossible to replace him. I'm personally sad I'll not get to work with him for longer. However, we congratulate him on a great career and on his retirement and wish him all the best. So thank you, Jack. And I'd like to make a motion to take the remainder of the personnel agenda that you see in your backup.
So moved. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Romanelli. We will move into our curriculum update. Mrs. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. I would like to take this opportunity this evening to welcome Dr. Patrick Kiley Rendon to the district. He is our Executive Director of Technology Innovation, who started on Monday. He has hit the ground running, so welcome, Dr. Patrick. We are underway in our middle schools with our New York State tests. The ELA test started for students in grades 6 through 8 today. It will continue tomorrow. Next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, we will be giving the test to our elementary students. And then in the beginning of May, we will be administering the math test. So everything went well today in the buildings. Thank you to the teachers and the parents and the students for everything that went so well. As we continue to talk about the future of West Islip schools and following the film screening of Most Likely to Succeed, Dr. Romanelli reached out to students, parents, and staff for feedback in regard to the creation of the profile of a West Islip graduate. Such a profile will identify the skills, attributes, and competencies the West Islip community feels are important for our graduates to possess. We have received over 1,000 responses from parents, students, and staff sharing the affirmation qualities that are most important to them. The survey is still open, so if anyone would like to add some last-minute input, please feel free to do so. Next week, members of the administrative team will be meeting to review the results and to determine next steps that will include additional input opportunities from all stakeholders. We have impressive learning experiences and events continuing to take place as we head into the last few weeks of the school year, and I realize that this has been a lengthy meeting, but I do have to just take a few minutes to highlight the amazing things going on in our classrooms. We continue to make significant strides in the area of elementary literacy. Of note, on April 4th, our pre-kindergarten and kindergarten teachers met for a second training on the Hegarty program. 2 in-house speech pathologists, Beth Schmidt and Jesse Smith, along with Dr. Walsh, facilitated the workshop, which focused on the importance of phonological and phonemic awareness. The Hegarty program will be implemented in all pre-kindergarten and kindergarten classrooms next year. I did have an opportunity to observe a Hegarty lesson over at Manitowoc, and it really was amazing to see the kids just picking up on those foundational reading skills, so we're looking forward to that. Also, our kindergarten and first grade teachers and students are in full swing with the use of geodes. Geodes are grade level text that allow students to apply phonics skills while building knowledge and vocabulary. They do provide students with cross-content learning, and we're getting some great feedback from both the teachers and students in regard to their use. Mr. Johnson, one of the district's reading specialists, recently held 2 professional development sessions focused on the development of reading and the science of reading. Teachers attending noted that the session was informative and helpful and is providing them with detailed background information on how students learn to read. We will continue to offer these PD opportunities throughout the summer and the coming school year. Talking about supporting the mental health of our students, students at Udall on Beach Street recently experienced the Sweethearts and Heroes program. The program promotes healthy, positive social connections and relationships while fostering a sense of community and social resilience. They help students build empathy and compassion by promoting bystander empowerment through leadership roles. Students worked with the presenters in breakout sessions to learn about the value of perspective, the importance of community, and how to listen to and learn from one another. IB diploma students at the high school recently took a trip to the Illusion Museum as a supplemental learning experience for the TOK Theory of Knowledge class at the high school. Activities in the museum provided students with insight about perception, vision, and the human brain and science. On April 17th, this past Monday, West Isop's National Math Honor Society inducted their first ever class into Mu Alpha Theta under the direction of Mrs. Nanda and Ms. Annunziata. 78 students from 11th and 12th grade were inducted into the event, so congratulations to those students. To supplement the kindergarten unit on plants, Manatuck students recently visited the South Shore Farms. They created bark and leaf rubbings, measured trees that they had adopted, and took an observational nature walk. And last but certainly not least, 5th grade entrepreneurs at Okonock, guided by Mrs. Cosentino and Mrs. Angerami, reopened their Bead Bonanza Market today at Okonock. Students are working together in teams to create beaded bracelets to sell to the community. Dr. Romanelli and I stopped by the Bonanza today. The service was great and the bracelets were a must-have. I have 2 of them on right now. Dr. Romanelli was fortunate, he got the blue and gold one. I'm a little jealous of that. Nice up on it right there. But there are amazing, amazing things going on each and every day in our classrooms, and I really would just like to take this opportunity to thank our teachers, our administrative team, and the supportive community that we have, because we have really wonderful things going on. Thank you, Mr. Tussey.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Morrison. Let's move into our report of board committees. We will start off with the Education Committee with Mr. Antonello.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tussey. Education Committee met on Tuesday at Beach. Meeting started at 7:30. In attendance was Superintendent Dr. Romanelli, Assistant Superintendent Mrs. Morrison, Assistant Superintendent Mrs. Pilati. Board members in attendance including myself, Mrs. Brown, Mr. McCann, Mrs. Kelly, and Mr. McGinnis. We talked about a couple of topics. We first started with a discussion about the acceleration of the math and science program. There was a presentation. Dr. Grover of mathematics, Mrs. Rangone of science, principals of Beach and Udall, Dr. Marquardt, and Mr. O'Farrell were there as well. If you're the parent of an 8th grader, like I am, you might have some questions or concerns about math and science, like I do on a nightly basis. So the presentation was to go over the story behind the acceleration of math and science, and a timeline was presented of when it began in 2018, 2019. Everyone who was there was unanimous in benefits of it, comparing the grades of the 8th graders on these tests are comparable with everyone else across New York State. The belief that develops skills earlier that the kids need, that it helps with detracking, and okay, that's all I have for that. Second thing, I can't read my own notes. The second thing is discussing the Panorama Survey. This actually came up earlier when we were talking about mental health. This survey is meant to to flag students that may be in need of assistance or having issues. It's already flagged a few students that need some kind of support, so Panoramic Survey is doing its job. The third thing we talked about was Regents Review classes that started this week. There are 8 sessions, all after school to help the kids. We also talked about class ranking. There was a bit of a contradiction in the writing of the process of class ranking, but it will be determined by the grade at the end of 7 semesters. So that's the outcome of that. And the last thing we talked about was the New York State ELA tests that are taking place this week. One interesting point Mrs. Morrison pointed out is that refusals or opt-outs are lower than what they had been. The meeting ended at 8:10.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Antonello. We'll move into the Finance Committee with Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on April 18th. Committee members present, Grace Kelly, Peter McCann, myself. Other board members in attendance, Richard Antonello, Debbie Brown. Administrators present, Dr. Romanelli, Ms. Pilati, the Assistant Superintendent for Business, and Ms. Morrison, the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. The purpose of the meeting was to receive the warrants for the month and discuss pertinent fiscal matters. The meeting was called to order at 8:10 p.m. The following reports were presented and accepted by the committee: the treasurer's reports for the school district funds and the extracurricular funds, the payroll summary and the financial statements all for the month of February, the internal claims audit report and the system manager audit trail for the month of March, payroll certifications for March 10th, March 24th, and April 7th, 2023. The committee received the warrants for the month. We also discussed and reviewed the following board agenda finance items. The budget transfers, approval of surplus for old obsolete textbooks for the high school, and miscellaneous textbooks in poor condition at Euro Road Middle School. Approval of donations, West ISA Softball Booster Club to purchase uniforms valued at $2,000, and the New York Schools Insurance Reciprocal, a $1,000 donation contributing to the costs associated with the high school college fair. The approval of the 2022-23 health service contracts with Deer Park Union Free School District and Syosset Central School District. Approval of contracts for 2022-2023 for Hollow Hills, a special education contract. Approval of change order for Roland Electric in the amount of $5,000 for Oakland Elementary School. A list of bid extensions for 2022-2023 for Emerald Electric and Solar, Green Velvet Tree, Cardinal Control Systems, National Fire and Safety Solutions, Long Island East Control, Winter Brothers Hauling of Long Island, Rydell American, Paramount Pest Elimination, Dynasty Elevator Corp., and Fitzgerald Driving School. Approval of the American Rescue Plan 2022-23 SEDFAR contracts for ACDS, ACLD, Alternatives for Children, Bilinguals Inc., Childhood Learning Center, Brookville Center for Children's Services, Building Blocks Developmental Center, Center for Developmental Disabilities, Connecticut Central School District of Islip, Developmental Disabilities Institute, Eden 2 programs, the Hackerton Little Village School, Just Kids Early Childhood Learning Center, Kids First Evaluation and Advocacy Center, Kids in Action of Long Island, Kids Therapy Services, Leeway School, Little Angel Center, Metro Therapy, Mid-Island Associates, Mountain Lake Academy, Nassau Services for the Autistic, the Opportunity Preschool, Suffolk County Department of Social Services, United Cerebral Palsy of Greater Suffolk, and Food Services. Meeting adjourned at 8:18.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McGinnis. We'll move on to Building and Grounds with Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Building and Grounds Committee also met on Tuesday, April, what's Tuesday? What's today? Tuesday. We met on Tuesday.
Yeah.
18th. Members in attendance were Mr. James Bossi, Dr. Romanelli, Mrs. Morrison, and Ms. Pilati. Board members in presence were Mr. Antonello, Ms. Kelly, Ms. Brown, myself, and Mr. McGinnis. We really talked about two topics at this meeting. The first one was the most exciting one, is that the air conditioning project that we voted on in January that was approved to put air conditioning in every classroom, ready to go for September. 90% of the middle schools and the high schools already have the splits on the walls, which is amazing to me. They're getting a head start on that so they don't wait for summer. That doesn't mean they're going to start. They won't probably use them until September, but there's a lot of electrical work that needs to be done. But that project is moving along very quickly. So looks like we are on target to have the entire system working for every building by September of next year. So that's great news for everyone. That also ties back to what we talked about, the security concerns when we talk about air conditioning, because we're able to then lock down all the first floor windows in all the classrooms so we don't have open windows in there. So it just ties into that. So thanks to the community for voting that, and for Mr. Bossi and team for really expediting that process. The second part we talked about, and there's been some conversations about it. We talked about potential of redoing the pool at the high school. So for those of you who are probably aware, the pool is actually our most used athletic facility in the district. It's also 60 years old. So we've, over the last many years, we've done a lot of investment in terms of keeping the pool working and functioning. We are in the beginning processes, and we did have at least a first pass from our outside consultants, BCS, of what that project would look like to modernize it, expand it. There's a few different options there. I mentioned that because we were really not ready to make any decisions. We've asked them for additional information. It would be a fairly large capital expenditure that we'd have to come out probably for a bond to get the public to vote on. We're not ready to kind of present anything yet, but I just want to make people aware that we are in discussions with that. We don't think from the advice we're given is the pool probably won't last that many more years without spending a lot of money in maintenance, so we are taking a look at that. But that runs in conjunction with what we're looking for on the Macera property. So on the Macera update, as everyone knows, we've been looking at potentially repositioning the school for a vocational or a technology school, some other use for the building for our own students. So we've been doing tours as a board of all the different districts in terms of what programs they offer, mostly similar programs to have in-house. That is still underway. We also have one potential candidate that may want to lease the building. It's a not-for-profit school. They're out there. We haven't gotten a proposal from them yet, but that's in the works. But they all tie into it, because if we do go and find that we need to enhance the building at Macera to do a vocational technical school, that's going to be a capital spend. So we want to make sure we have all of the information before we present anything to anybody in terms of what may happen. So those are the two main topics that we talked about at Buildings and Grounds. So more to follow on that, but a lot of good work by the Buildings and Grounds team all year round, and getting ready for the summer projects that'll kick off. Which Buildings and Grounds, for everyone who knows, most of our major projects happen in the summer. So that's we'll kick off that season very shortly. The meeting was adjourned, and next meeting is next month.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCann. We'll go to Health and Wellness with Mrs. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Tussie. The Health and Wellness Alliance met on April 4th, 2023 at Polder Blue Elementary. Members present were Tim Horan, Rhonda Pratt, Christina Elefante, Julia Canastra, Diana Seppi, Melanie Steiners, and Lauren Albanese. We went over the financial reports. We also spoke about the Health and Wellness scholarships. The committee will review applications and will be awarding 2 $500 scholarships. There is a Don't Press Send presentation, which will be held on Tuesday, May 2nd at the Polder Blue Auditorium. There'll be 2 presentations, one at 9:45 for the 4th and 5th grade students from Bayview and Okanoff, and then again at 12:15 for the 4th and 5th grade students at Manitouk and Puljay Lake. We spoke about the Halloween Hustle community event, which will replace the Color Run. It's slated for October 15th, Sunday, at 10 a.m. at the West Islip High School. It's open to all ages. Costumes are encouraged, and participants will navigate through Halloween-themed stations along the high school outdoor course. Some things that were passed around were silly string, bubbles, spiderweb, hula hoops. So that's still a work in progress, but it looks like it's going to be a fun day. And there will be a post-event celebration with a vendor village with treats, DJ, photographer. There'll be costume awards, and like I said, there'll be more information on that as we move forward. All households received the health and wellness newsletter and received a lot of positive feedback on the articles and how relevant the material is. And we're looking ahead to strategies and provide and enhance student connections and dangers of online gambling. The next meeting is Tuesday, May 9th at 9:30 a.m. in the Paul J. Blue cafeteria.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kelly. We'll go to the Safety Committee. With Mr. McCann. I don't really know what we're talking about tonight.
You know, I can always talk about something. So, good evening again. The Safety Committee. So just so everyone's aware, we do have a Safety and Security Committee that meets on a monthly basis. So it's usually this year it was April 18th at 8:30 at the Paul J. Blue cafeteria. The members of that committee are the central administration and all of the principals, along with Sean McAlevey. This meeting, Ms. Kelly and myself attended. There's usually at least 1 or 2 board members there. So the discussions that we had tonight go on a monthly basis as a committee also. So, and there were also some community members who were present. Outside of everything that Mr. McAlevey talked about currently that we're looking at in the safety, there are some other things that we are actually looking at that are worth noting. We're taking a look at adding AI software to our current camera system. And what that would do is the AI software would actually pick up anyone who's walking through the parking lot or through a field who actually had a gun. It would recognize that was the gun. So we could actually identify that. That system would then, I don't know how it works, but it would alert the monitor of that system, so we could catch that before that gun even made it into the building. So beyond what Mr. McAlevey had, what we currently are, we are looking at other technologies to enhance that. He had mentioned at the meeting that the Parkland shooter actually was carrying across the field for 6 minutes before that person got to the building. This software would actually pick up the fact that that person was carrying a gun and make adjustments accordingly. So outside of what we talked about today, we are looking at a lot of other technologies that can help enhance what we're currently doing. Mr. McAlevey will spend, he mentioned at the meeting, he'll spend his time, he interviews all of the school safety officers at the end of the year, along with the principals, to find out what else can we do to enhance all of the features that we mentioned before. So, and of course we talked about armed guards. So just, again, everyone aware that we do, this is an organized committee that meets monthly, and we discuss all the topics of tonight, plus future topics for safety.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCann. Finally, we'll do a Special Education Committee with Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you. The committee met yesterday by telephone. Committee members present and myself, Administrative President Dean Dowling and Gail Doherty. The meeting started at 8:30 a.m. It was a quick meeting. We discussed some preschool screenings. There's a very high number of preschool screenings that are being done now, higher than normal. But we're getting through that process. We also discussed student placements, and the meeting adjourned at about 8:45.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McGinnis. We'll move into business items with Mrs. Blau.
Thank you, Mr. Trustee. May I have a motion for the approval of budget transfers 4283 through 4289 to the general fund?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of change order from Rollins Electric in the amount of a $5,000 credit for work done at Oakwood Elementary School?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the surplus textbooks and books as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the bid extension for 2023-24 as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the contracts for 2022-23 as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the SEDCAR ARP contracts for the 2022-23 school year as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the donation from New York School Insurance Reciprocal in the amount of $1,000 for West Islip High School and a related increase to the 2022-3 budget for $1,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the donation from the West Islip Software Booster Club for the purchase of uniforms valued at approximately $2,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pilati. Can I have a motion, please, of approval of a reorganization meeting to be held July 11th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. at West Islip High School?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval of the 2023-24 regular meeting and planning session dates?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have approval of the Eastern Suffolk BOCES 23-24 administrative budget and trustee election, that being Susan Littman, Ann Maskiki, William Miller, Catherine Romano, and Norman A. Wagner.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval of the resolution regarding the adoption of the 23-24 school district budget of $134,220,230 and the 2023-24 property tax report card.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, so in discussion, when we started this process, there was a budget gap of over $3 million. Was it close to $3.4 million? So throughout this process, dealing with a 2% tax cap and 8% inflation, not only were we able to manage that gap, but we did not make any cuts of staffing or student programs, and we were able to add a lot of different things, which I'm going to ask Mr. McCann to maybe highlight a couple of those.
Thank you, Mr. Tessie, and again, just thanks for the great work for the budget this year from Ms. Pilati, Central Administration, and everyone involved with that. It was a challenging year because, as we all know, 8% inflation across the board. We mentioned that our transportation contract went up double digits, health insurance went up double digits, and we were able to bridge the gap, partly for some of the reserve funds that we've saved up over these years. But in addition to that, what's in the budget, and we presented the final budget workshop last night, these are all open to the public, we have a lot of great additions to this year's budget. So as we all know, we've got universal pre-K, we have over 250 students registered, they're all in the program, fully funded by the district. We've expanded our BOCES programs to add 4 more offerings to students across the spectrum, which is a great addition to what we currently have. We are adding an assistant director of special education to focus on the secondary level. We're adding 4 building aides at the elementary level. We're adding 2 additional preferred subs at the high school. As you may be aware, there's a very large shortage of subs, so we're trying to make sure that we have preferred subs available at all times so that we don't run into the issues of coverage. We're adding math coaches at both Beach and Udall this year to help with our students. We're adding a dean of discipline at the high school level. We're adding 6th grade integrated co-teaching at Beach Street Middle School, which is an addition for this year. And we're also providing first graders with Chromebooks. So in all of the budget gap, we were able to close the budget gap and make all these additions that really benefit and keep the quality of education high for all our students. So thanks to Ms. Pilati and the entire staff that worked on this budget.
Again, on behalf of the Board of Education, Mrs. Pilati, Mrs. Morrison, Dr. Romanelli, and the rest of your team, I can't even tell you the amount of hours of work that they put into this, and I know you probably don't necessarily want to hear that, but it needs to be said. And I congratulate all of you on a job well done. And hopefully everybody does come out and vote for the budget on May 16th. And with that being said, I ask, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion, please, of approval of personnel for May 16, 2023 school budget vote and election?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Have a motion of approval of resolution regarding the request for proposal of universal pre-K program 2023-2024 school year.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have a motion of approval for the memorandum of agreement for local 237 clerical regarding the summer hours.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I have a motion of approval of the WIDA lease agreement for June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Superintendent's report, Dr. Romanelli.
Okay, I cut this by like 15 sentences, so. Just want to give a shout out to our West Islip students. I'm just continually impressed every day around the district, visiting classrooms and visiting buildings. Just yesterday was able to stop by the high school to visit the Thirst Project, and for those that don't know, they were able to raise enough money to bring a well to a community in Africa so that they had fresh water. That was not something that had previously been possible in that community, and the West Islip students were able to vote on where they wanted to bring the well, to which community they want to bring it to, because the amount of money that they raised. They had a representative from the Thirst Project there. It was just really, really impressive, and I was so proud of the work that they were doing. I was able to stop by Islip Town Hall yesterday to honor 2 of our West Islip High School students for their efforts in community service. So just really everywhere, each day of the week, there's something amazing going on. Today was definitely the beads. But just really a big shout out to our students, and there's greatness all across the district. We're so proud of everything our students are accomplishing. And we have our spring newsletter coming out very soon with some additional highlights, so I'll don't want to spoil any of them. I'll let you read about them when they come out in the mail.
All right, thank you, Dr. Romanelli. We are going to move into the public comment session. I know I have a couple of cards here. So I would like to call Ms. Danica Riccio.
Can I just say, Danica, I haven't seen you in such a long time. I cannot believe how big she's getting. It's scary how quick these kids are growing up. So it is good to see you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Danica Riccio. I'm a 10th grader. As of 2 years ago, I started being homeschooled by myself, my parents, and an online program. So tonight I'm here to represent the homeschool community and have the rule be changed that homeschool students be allowed to participate in after-school programs and clubs. I was on the West Islip robotics team since September. In March, I was kicked off the team because I was homeschooled. Not in a nice way either. It was not a nice situation how it was handled, which is a total another discussion. But so I'm here today to have a motion put to vote to get that rule changed, because it's not a state law, sadly. There's a state law for homeschool children to play sports. It's called the Tim Tebow law. Even though it's a little different than the other 31 states, still something. And so I'm here to have that changed at district level because it's not at state level.
Very nicely done, and I know it's not easy to get up there and speak in front of a large crowd. So we can't just make the motion at this current moment, but what we can do is bring this back to our policy committee and review our policy and see, you know, the legality of it and what it would take to make changes. I don't know if there's anything you would like to add to that, Dr. Romanelli.
Yeah, just to add that we are planning on, we've had a review from NYSBA about all of our school policies. We've also pulled a couple policies that we want to review, so we will flag that policy about participation in extracurriculars and take a look at that this school year. We're planning on meeting with our policy committee and having discussions with the board, and then if we do make updates to our policies, they'll be done prior to the completion of the school year.
I'd like to add something. At the end of the year, every year, the West Islip Robotics team, they have a dinner. I would like to know if I would be able to attend that because I was told I wasn't allowed on school grounds.
So all I would say is that I'll look into the matter, just in regards to the dinner. I'm not aware of the dinner, so we'll look into it and we can get back to you, okay?
Mrs. Hanschel? You can come up, that's fine.
Strange, I'm not used to this over here. I'm so honored to follow that wonderful speaker just now. And I wish you all the best, and may God bless you. I have to comment about that, of course, but we talk about inclusivity, we talk about mental health. There you go. There's a great start with that wonderful student. And I have a feeling that homeschooling and charter schools might be a part of our future. And that is absolutely nothing against any of you here. It's about our politics in New York State. So February came, spoke about Damar Hanlon, who survived a major cardiac attack, and he gave a lot of credit to God and his family, and it was a wonderful story of success and humility, and he's doing well. I've been following that story. He's doing really well. I also wanted to bring up the fact that I think a couple weeks ago, there was Asbury Revival. The Christian Revival at Asbury University was fascinating. It was a 2-week prayer session at the university. Thousands of people, tens of thousands of people came from across the country to join in prayer. And it just was spontaneous prayer. So there's clearly a culture of good and evil out there, and good always wins. We just might have to wait decades for it to happen, and that's okay, because it's in God's hands. However, I just wanted to bring this up because a lot of times in the minutes, they weren't so bad this time. The minutes reflected pretty much what I said, but all I would like you to do on May 4th is on the electronic sign, is just to put, like a day before and the day of, May 4th, National Day of Prayer. Dr. Romanelli, I gave you some data to support it. It is a tradition of America. It's not an issue of separation of church and state. It is by far the opposite. It is totally within the realm of our education system. There is no reason except a decision that you make, and it's not against the law. It's actually encouraged by our country to have the nation pray for itself and the people in it. So just spread the word to your neighbors and friends that May 4th is the National Day of Prayer. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to mention. So all I want you to do is put it on the sign. If we can highlight all the things that we highlight in the district in the name of inclusivity and justice, we can put God up there. I think, if we deny him among men on earth, Christ will deny us in heaven in front of the Father. Just keep that in mind. It's in the Bible. So a couple of years ago, I and many other people spoke about, during COVID, the DEI issue and how that, in my opinion, is going to be causing more havoc than good in our society. And at that time, many people, many smarter people than I spoke and talked about how it is divisive and it divides. It does not bring any unity to our communities and our country. It actually makes people hate each other. And I asked at the last time I spoke in February for those meetings to be recorded so the community can see exactly what is being said privately so we can have transparency about those issues. Because I noticed, and again, I know you all have mandates and I respect that. I know you have to follow the law. Can I continue? Is that okay? Okay. I know you have to follow the law. I know it's a mandate. I know the law comes from New York State. Unfortunately, your hands are tied to some degree, but I'm really waiting for powerful educators to push back against these types of policies, because the name of the committee is now the Equity Committee. And the problem with equity is it cannot be measured. You can't measure equity. It's taking something from some and giving it to others, and nobody really has a great formula how that's fair and equal. So this is what, if you go online, you found this, and I really do respect the fact that you put something out there. It's notes from the last committee meeting, the Equity Committee meeting, and it's showing what they do well, the district, and what they don't think they do well, and it's called Glows and Grows. And I looked at it for a little bit this week, and it's everything that we all talked about 2 years ago. It's not a good thing for our school district to have this committee. And I know you have to have it, but I wish somebody would push back. Because it's pitting race against race, it's full of identity politics, and it's avoiding each individual as a precious being of God. And we're looking at everything that shouldn't matter in these kind of policies. I know I've talked about politics in the past. This is politics. This is total politics. There's no doubt about it. I was told last summer, or last spring rather, that there's no politics in education here in West Islip. I was told that. I asked maybe when candidates apply for the board, they should tell what political party they're affiliated with. I was told there's no politics in West Islip. There's politics in every school district in every state. and we can't deny that any longer. This document is full of buzzwords of leftist ideology and very higher education thinking, okay? And I don't even think it's on purpose. I think it's just so part of our culture now that we see this. So there's just a couple of things I have here that I have a problem with. So couple of the grows, how we should improve our school district, okay? I like to look at someone's character when I meet them. I don't look at anything else but how they treat other people, how they treat themselves. So we have here, help, okay, let's see, here it is. Okay, help minority students feel, can't read, I need to get better glasses. More welcome, included, and supported, using cultural identities as a vehicle for teaching and learning, okay? Then we have consequences for students demonstrating a non-welcoming attitude, okay? And then we have, let's see, another one, help our involved, supporting marginalized left-out students by providing surveys that offer parents, students the ability to shatter barriers that may prevent them from other opportunities. And then there's another one, and I'll just mention my concern about them. Mental health education came up constantly throughout this whole thing. And then it talks about hiring more culturally diverse teachers and so many other things. Increased inclusivity, overall opportunities for special education students, make sure that certain populations are not unfairly targeted for disciplinary measures. Okay, so here's the problem I have with it. Okay, one of the first things it says that they do well is inclusive and non-judgmental. Okay, so first of all, as humans, we're all judgmental. Okay, when you talk about judgment, you have to be able to look at whose morality are you talking about, because you will never, ever satisfy everybody in a school district. Okay, so
you have a question.
I do have questions, and I'm getting to them.
A question?
Yes, I'm getting. I find that you're getting frustrated.
A lot of us have attended the meetings. I know you have not. So if there's a question
Which meeting?
about
Which meeting?
All the DEI and the equity meetings that we have.
Oh, I know that, and that's the problem, because 400, let me finish, since you brought that up, 400 people 2 years ago wanted to be on this committee. It's only been opened up to parents of students in the district. You chose to have only 20 people. You're inviting more people to the meeting, but the public does not know what you are talking about behind the scenes and what will inevitably...
I need to say a few things, because there's a lot that's being misrepresented about the work that's going on in the district.
Can I just ask my questions first?
Our equity committee does not take away from some students and give to others. The point of it is to lift up all students, and students can learn from one another. They can benefit from different perspectives. They can benefit from this type of work that we're trying to do.
Okay, here's my question.
Some of our subcommittees, the one about critical conversations, is about having nonpartisan conversations in the classroom, not bringing in politics. Politics has no place in our classrooms. We're trying to have these conversations with as many parents as possible. If you saw our last committee meeting, there were about 60 people.
Committee meeting or the board meeting mean, or the committee?
We had 60 people there. Every one of those parents that were there attended our evenings to talk about education, of what DEI was, hear from a public speaker. We have people from all sides of the political spectrum coming together to have conversations about what are best for the students in this district. There is no left-wing or right-wing agenda being pushed anywhere. That's not what I believe. That's not what I want for my kids. It should be out of our school system. What we want to do is have involved parents in this conversation, because parents should have a say in children's education in this school district and in every school district. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be transparent by posting our minutes on our website, by having, involving more and more parents. We've had every single parent that attended our DEI meetings and asked to be on the committee, every single one was invited to be on.
Okay.
So I can't speak to what happened 2 or 3 years ago.
Sure.
When I started working here in August, we started the equity committee. Every single parent that expressed interest in being on the committee and came out and became educated on what we were trying to do, we invited onto the committee.
Okay, so every parent, so you're saying that there are parents, now the committee is larger now, so is that a February
Yes,
meeting?
We expanded our committee because we heard from the public that more people wanted to be involved, and every single parent that reached out to us and wanted to be involved in it, we welcomed on to the committee.
Okay, so my other question was, a couple of years ago when they decided to have the Equity Committee, there were 400 residents who were very concerned and interested, so it's not open to residents.
I don't, I can't speak to what happened.
Because I think everybody would love to be at those meetings, if they could be. And this is just one concern that I have. And again, I don't think you're doing anything intentionally wrong. And I think it always comes back to the teacher in the classroom and how they run their classrooms and what discussions are being had. But this is the concern that I have. Consequences for students demonstrating a non-welcoming attitude. Well, here's the problem, okay? In schools, okay? You're going to have, it's happened to me in these meetings, when I would speak about certain topics that were considered controversial, people tried to shut me down. People came up to me, afraid for me to go to my car, because I made certain comments. But my point is that if we shut down free speech, look, I want everyone to get along. I agree with you. But what's happening in the school systems, okay, it is political, and we can't deny that it's political.
What you just read, though, was minutes of everything that people said.
Oh, I know that, and that's
right?
what I said when I first started speaking.
That's not necessarily the work that we're doing. So if somebody mentioned in there, we should do X, Y, and Z, we put it on the notes because we want to be as transparent as possible.
Okay.
However, that doesn't mean that we're going to do that. That means that where those conversations are taking place and people are raising them, our 3 subcommittees, we have building, I timed out on the, I had them written down, ready to go. The building critical conversations, which is one of the ones that I'm sharing, which is about having, important conversations. We're talking about some parents believe that, we shouldn't be having certain conversations in the classroom, and that we shouldn't, when we have guest speakers come in, they shouldn't be talking about specific topics, and that we should review our district policy on guest speakers, and parents should know everything that's going to be said, and they should approve of if their children should sit in that. That's the type of conversation that we're having there, because many people believe in that. Ensuring success for all students, that basically means that are we not seeing success in certain areas? So for instance, if we have given our students technology and students don't have access to internet at home, the district can provide hotspots for students in their home so they can access their Chromebooks. They can be successful academically because maybe they fall in a lower socioeconomic status. And it also talks about stakeholder engagement. If we have families in our community, let's say that are predominantly Spanish speaking at home and are expressing to us that they can't receive communications from the school district and can't participate in the school district, we want to see what we can do to make sure that they can get communication from the school district and can be active participants in our school district. We're also hearing from a diverse group of stakeholders about their personal experience in West Islip, because not everyone's experience here is the same. A big conversation has been about students with special needs and about struggles that they've faced in the district at certain times, and how we can ensure success for our students with special needs just as much as we can for our general education students. There is absolutely no political agenda. There's nothing being taken away from any students in the school district to give to someone else.
That's not what I'm saying. I said the definition.
That is exactly actually what you said.
No, what I'm saying is the definition.
From students and giving to others.
I did not say that.
That's not what we are going to do
But
in this work.
those
So
are my
it's
words.
misinformation, and that's what keeps feeding this whole narrative.
Let me
that
just-
the equity committee is doing something evil or a
never said
left-wing sort of
evil.
agenda. That's not what it is.
Okay, I never
There is
said-
no political agenda. It's there to lift up all students in this district and make sure that everyone can access the education and be successful here in West Islip.
I never said. I never said that you're taking things, I said the definition of equity is taking something from one giving to other. That's what the definition was. I never said you were literally taking it away from students in our district, first of all. The problem that I have with this, okay, when you talk
I am
about.
going to ask you to ask your last question. It's not just move
Sure, I will, and I'm,
No,
like I said.
I need the question, please.
Yes, I will give you the question, but this is my point. This is my whole point. If you were to record those meetings, I wouldn't have the need to say anything, okay? Because I've been in this district for 20 years. I know how it works. Okay, let's here's my question.
The minutes of all conversations of all the subcommittees, we break out into different rooms. We would need camera crews following people around to post it. We are posting everything, and now that we're being transparent and posting every word that's being said in the committees, you're coming up and saying, oh, this was discussed in here, and this was.
No, the first thing I said was.
We're being as transparent as we
Okay,
possibly can.
and I said that I appreciated what you're doing. okay? And B, I said that you have the glows, which were the positives, and then I said your grows. And what I read from were the grows, where you want to go. So I'm taking right from the page what I'm reading. I'm not saying you're doing anything malicious or wrong, and I never said you were evil. What I said was that certain things, all I said was, I guess it's a freedom of speech issue. As long as children are allowed to express themselves in their classrooms, in their content areas, as long as they can say something that somebody might not like, as long as they don't get in trouble for that, because they have a difference of opinion, that's all I care about.
That's not going to happen, so we can
Yet.
agree on
It
that.
has happened already, but you're stopping me from talking so I can't continue. But thank you for
Okay, I
listening.
think maybe
We're giving you a lot.
You have given me a lot of time, and I do appreciate that. I do. Thank you.
See how we're not shutting down free speech?
Yes, see that? And this is like one of the first times, so thank you. And I think that's a credit to you, Dr. Romanelli, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Could we invite down Mrs. Viteri, please?
We just need another teacher for next year for 5th grade. I know you guys just did the budget. How do we get another teacher? Because we have 80 students with 3 teachers for 4th grade. We have 27 students in my daughter's 4th grade class, 26 students in the inclusion class, and 27 students in the other class. So we need another teacher. Bad.
Are you talking about for current 4th grade at Bayview?
Oakland.
Okay, so we actually did add another section.
You did?
Yes, we did.
I didn't
and,
hear.
we-
Thank you. I'm done. I'm done.
All right, well, I made up for the last 4 months, which has been very quiet. But no, on a serious note, I do thank you all for coming tonight and for having the courage to speak up and share your point of views. I wish you all a very happy end of the week in April, and look forward to seeing all of you at the May vote for our school budget, May 16th. I'm going to have a motion to adjourn to the executive session when the board will discuss personnel negotiations and litigation. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you.